Hello, warrior. Welcome back. And we're trying to adjust things. Did you know that technology hates me all the time? It's one of those things that I know is crazy. So, of course, when we get our um, mic working like we want, we somehow broke the little thing on the back of this phone. It's like a little ring that's supposed to help keep things up, if you know what I'm saying. Anyway, of course, that thing broke the other day when we were at a soccer game or tennis. I can't remember which one. And yeah, so I am looking for something to prop up, but it's probably not going to be, let me try something else. Okay, maybe that works. I'll just have to be like clear back here. Anyways, we're on Mosiah chapter 9. Wow. This is so weird. Okay, Mosiah chapter 9, but we're going to get started because we don't like wasting time. Okay. Zenith. Okay, so the record, this is the record of Zenith, an account of his people from the time they left the land of Zarahemla until the time that they were delivered out of the hands of the Lamanites. Now, I don't know why Mormon felt that he needed to put these things in this order. Okay, I don't know. But this is how we're learning things. And so it gets a little confusing. So if you're not following along, I get you. But we're still going to read it regardless of whether it makes sense or not. Why? Because we have been promised specific blessings to help protect us and guide us through our lives if we do so. Okay, so we're going on our promised blessings here instead of everything making sense, right? Okay, so chapter 9. Zenith leads a group from Zarahemla to possess the land of Lehi Nephi. The Lamanite king permits them to inherit the land. There is war between the Lamanites and Zenith's people, says. Should have turned on the light. It's fine though. I, Zenith, having been taught in all the language of the Nephites, and having had a knowledge of the land of the Nephite, it also doesn't help if Sister Winegar does not read it correctly. It gets it more confusing for you. Okay, so let's had a knowledge of the land of Nephi, or of the land of our fathers' first inheritance, and having been sent as a spy among the Lamanites, that I might spy out their forces, that our army might come upon them and destroy them. But when I saw that which was good among them, I was desirous that they should not be destroyed. I love that. I think it's hard sometimes to think of people who are making bad choices are still children of God. And so it is something that people can struggle with. Like, there's no way I could be in the military. You know what I mean? No way. Just because of the war part. Okay, so really quick. When Mormon abridged the plates, he had many records that he used to piece the stories together. In just the Book of Mosiah, Mormon used the records of at least 3 men. The Book of Mormon Seminary Manual explains that at least 3 records contributed to the Book of Mosiah. Mormon drew from a number of records to compile the Book of Mosiah. He abridged and quoted from the record kept by Mosiah on the large plates of Nephi, which detail the history of the Nephites in the land of Zarahemla. He also drew from the record of Zenith, which recounts the history of Zenith's people from the time they left Zarahemla until they returned. And then additionally, Mormon quoted from and abridged portions of the writings of Alma, who preserved the words of Abinadi and kept a record of his own people, period. Okay, so this was in the Book of Mormon Seminary Manual, Introduction to the Book of Mosiah. So remember, Zenith was the one who came out of Zarahemla to take people back to the land of Nephi. Remember that? And And then the people of Nephi, the people that went to the land of Nephi, are now in the land of Lehi Nephi, or that's what it's called. Okay. Okay, and then verse 2 says, therefore I contended with my brethren in the wilderness, for I would that our ruler should make a treaty with them. But he, being an austere and a bloodthirsty man, commanded that I should be slain. But I was rescued by the shedding of much blood, for father fought against father, and brother against brother, until the greater number of our army was destroyed in the wilderness. And we returned, those of us that were spared, to the land of Zarahemla to relate that tale to their wives and their children. So this is the conflict that happened in the wilderness. And yet I, being overzealous to inherit the land of our fathers, collected as many as were desirous to go up to possess the land, and started again on our journey into the wilderness to go up to the land. But we were smitten with famine and sore afflictions, for we were slow to remember the Lord our God. Okay, so in Mosiah 8:5, we learn that Limhi and his people had kept the record since they had left Zarahemla. Okay, remember that. And here begins their record. Mormon inserted the record of Zeniff into the Book of Mormon record he was compiling. We are now going back in time around 60 years before Ammon ever found Limhi's people. So yeah, that makes sense. So at this point in the Book of Mormon, we can imagine a caption like one that might appear on a movie screen that states something like 60 years earlier. In the first 3 verses, Zeniff explains the great difficulty they experienced among their group as they sought to claim the land of their fathers. Their first attempt was not successful because of the battle that occurred among their own people, and they returned to Zarahemla only to attempt the journey again, where they then suffered famine and afflictions. Okay. And then when Zeniff wrote this record, he appears to be older and looking back at his life. Now, after gaining so much life experience, he was able to recognize shortcomings in himself and his people, for he admits that he was overzealous and that as a people, they were slow to remember God. Zealous means to be eagerly in pursuit of something. Therefore, Zeniff recognizes that he was too eager. Imagine what he might have looked past or not considered because he was overzealous. He admits that he and those that were with him were slow to remember the Lord their God. They were pursuing the land they wanted rather than the Lord's will and guidance. And remember, they were guided to the land of Zarahemla, and that was the land that they were supposed to be in, right? Okay, something that totally applies to my life, though, because that's how I do things that's what happens when we read the Book of Mormon. You can apply these things into your life. So this word that's standing out to me right now is overzealous. We have been thinking about purchasing a snow cone shop to open one up here. The season is about to start. It literally cannot be today because it's snowing. Yeah, it's crazy. Let me show you. Let me show you about this snow. It's kind of wild. Can you see it? Falling down? I don't know. You can't see it. Well, it was snowing anyway. It's like rain snow. Anyway, so we're thinking about getting a snow cone shop, and we're looking at a lot of different options. And because it seems like we're doing it really fast, it feels like we're a little bit overzealous. And I'm like, I want to make sure we're not doing anything hasty. And so we need to create like business outline of like fees structure, just so that we can kind of get an idea of like what we're getting ourselves into. But we've contacted a couple places of where they're selling their snow shop, and I guess last year wasn't a very good year, but they still said they turned a profit, and who knows, we probably wouldn't even turn a profit this year. It would probably be the following year. And so we're trying to figure this stuff out, and it's kind of new territory because we haven't because we've done a bunch of food things at like markets and things, but we haven't ever had like one consistent thing throughout like summer, or you know what I mean? So we have to find like a location and all these things. And anyway, so I'm wondering if we're overzealous, if we need to wait till next year to really do something, or if we get started now and just, kind of go through all the nitty gritty, the messy stuff, and get it out of the way, because that's going to happen regardless. Right. And so, but I know that whatever we do, we need to remember the Lord in everything that we do. And so I've been praying. I'm going to go to the temple tomorrow about this and trying to see what we need to do. But this is the kind of stuff that I talk about when I talk about needing healing and things that can help accelerate our healing. It's getting excited about things that you do on your own, that you can test out, that you can try, and that you can use your skills and your talents to put something out there to serve the community or to serve those around you, and make it something that kind of pulls you, instead of feeling like you're trudging through life. Like, what do you see yourself doing in the future? And what do you think is best for your life in the future tense of yourself? And then how can we get there? And am I going to, progress towards that person? Is that like what I need? Anyway, those are the thoughts. And I think one of the quotes that always stands out to me is have goals. What is it? No, I can't remember. It was one that my brother sent me a while back, that really like helped evolve, or to help create the Crush framework. And it was, have goals so big that your problems pale in comparison. And I think it's so true. You have to have goals in life. Like, what else is there if you don't have goals? Like, how do you live? Like, what is your excitement? What gets you excited to like live and wake up? You know what I mean? So anyway, that's just my little plug for that. Okay, verse 4. Nevertheless, after many days wandering in the wilderness, we pitched our tents in the place where our brethren were slain, which was near to the land of our fathers. And it came to pass that I went again with 4 of my men into the city, in unto the king, that I might know of the disposition of the king, and that I might know if I might go in with my people and possess the land in peace. So he's trying to go in like, hey, by the way, there's some land out there. Can I have that? And we'll just be there in peace, And the Lamanites are probably like, what? I mean, it sounds like it would be great to not have to fight about things, right? But let's be honest. Everybody is always trying to get land. Even around here, if it wasn't for sale, people would be taking it over, So yeah, like land around here is very expensive. In fact, we went over and we were checking out some land that has actual buildings on it that are not that great of buildings. And they're selling the land for basically the base price of the land. The guy was like, yeah, this is like a $3 million property, regardless of what's on top of it. And I'm like, yeah, but don't you know that it's going to cost money to like gut this thing like to the ground, like level it, Anyway, so they don't account for that. They just think land. And so it makes sense that even then land was rare and everybody wanted it. Okay, so then verse 5, and it came to pass that I went again with 4 men. So we're going to read till 10, by the way. With 4 of my men into the city I just read that. Oh, did I read verse 4? Nevertheless, after many days wandering in the wilderness, we pitched our tents in the place where our brethren were slain. Yeah. Wow. Did you see that? There was no pause in the video. That's just my brain. Like, totally zoned out as to what I even read. Okay, verse 6. Let's stay on task. And I went in unto the king, and he covenanted with me that I might possess the land of Lehi Nephi and the land of Shilem. And he also commanded that his people should depart out of the land, and I and my people went into the land that we might possess it. That sounds way too good to be true. Am I right? Oh, yeah, of course it's your land. We should probably get out of there. It's probably how that sounded. Whatever. And right now there's actually serious battles about land from back in the, now I'm definitely going to expose how much of history or geography I know, world geography, I know this much. I'm not trying to prove anything. But where Israel is like fighting for land, and anyway, over there in the Far East, I don't know. And it's really sad because it's basically one group of people think that they get to possess land, and another group of people think that they get to possess the land. And so they're fighting. And so it's like the scriptures. It's like what's happening in the scriptures, but like worse, because they're really like torturing peeps and killing a lot of innocent people for land. So anyways, wouldn't it be nice if you could just be like, hey, by the way, I need this spot right here. I was wondering if I could just borrow it while I sell my hot cocoa or whatever, you know? No. Okay. It says, verse 7, and he also commanded that his people should depart out of the land. And that I did read that one. Okay. And we began to build buildings and repair the walls of the city, yea, even the walls of the city of Lehi-Nephi and the city of Shilom. And we began to till the ground, yea, even with all manner of seeds, with seeds of corn and of wheat and of barley and with maize and with sheum and with seeds of all manner of fruits. We did begin to multiply and prosper in the land. Now, of course they did, right? This was their land. They were taking ownership of this, and they wanted it to become great, right? But the Lamanites were a little bit lazy and didn't want to do that, which was why they let the Nephites possess the land, right? Because then it would turn nice. So then it's like, now it was the cunning and the craftiness of King Laman to bring my people into bondage, that he yielded up the land that we might possess it. Right? So he said, right? It's like your kids, right? Zeniff failed to see the trap they were walking into when he met with the king of the Lamanites. The Nephites were an industrious people, so to allow them to come in and build buildings and to repair the walls, to till the ground, yea, even with all manner of seeds, could serve the Lamanites well, if they could bring the Nephites into captivity, which was the plan of King Laman the whole time, right? So everything looked deceivingly good for Zeniff and his people, of course. Also, some people really just need to realize, like, I know some of us are very trusting and trust everything people say, but also you need to take into account people's past. Like trust isn't just built overnight. It is built little by little, okay? But it's also hard. Like, if you just don't trust anybody, then it's hard to do anything, because then you have to do everything yourself. But if you have to do everything yourself, then you're not delegating, and then you're just stressing. And, you know, so there's like that fine line between like, how much do I trust people and how much do I not trust people, right? And so it is easier to just trust people, right? And we just want to trust people naturally. So anyway, so everything looked really good, and they were able to possess the land and multiply and prosper. Okay, there they were for a while. Things were working out just as they had planned, but the reality still was that they had returned to a land that their enemy now occupied, a land the Lord had directed the Nephites to leave. Remember, they weren't actually supposed to be there. Okay, so then Mosiah chapter 9 verse 11 says, therefore it came to pass that after we had dwelt in the land for the space of 12 years. Okay, so they said 12 years, that King Laman began to grow uneasy, lest by any means my people should wax strong in the land, and that they could not overpower them and bring them into bondage. So now, let's see, we're going to read till verse 13. Now they were a lazy and idolatrous people. Therefore, they were desirous to bring us into bondage, that they might glut themselves with the labors of our hands, yea, that they might feast themselves upon the flocks of our fields. Okay, so mind you, I think that's so annoying. I hate it when there's people that work so hard, and then there's people that take advantage of those people who are working so hard. Clearly, in society, that's how it works. You're going to always have those groups of people who work really hard, and then the groups of people who just milk the peeps who were working hard and just mooch off of those peeps. And that's not how society should work. We should all pitch in our 100% to make everything awesome. But, you know, we also don't live in the millennium. So, hello. When Jesus Christ comes, that's when it's going to be awesome. Okay, so until then, we have to be like Christ and really have patience with people. I have a thing that I want to wear, like a shirt that I need to make that says, "You're lucky I love Jesus." Just specifically for these moments, right? Okay, verse 13. Therefore, it came to pass that King Laman began to stir up, meaning agitate or move his people, that they should contend with my people. Therefore, there began to be wars and contentions in the land. So annoying, right? Okay, so for 12 years, Zeniff and these Nephites worked really hard to build, plant, and multiply. And then King Laman began to see that his plan to bring them into bondage might be really difficult because this group was growing stronger and stronger. So he began to stir up his people so that they would desire to contend with these Nephites. The word stir means to move or to agitate. This is a word used throughout the Book of Mormon when someone wants the Lamanites to go to war against the Nephites. Imagine what that might have looked like. What kind of things might the king have said or done to cause the Lamanites to be willing to risk their lives in order to battle the Nephites? And that's just sad. Like, why are you trying to pit people against each other? Like, ugh, I hate war, you know? But that's who we are. We're warriors. But I hate war. It's like, let's just live in peace. Life's hard enough, you know? So let's just help each other get home. That's all. So verse 14, for in the 13th year of my reign, hold on, let's see, we're at 14 and 19. For in the 13th year of my reign in the land of Nephi, away on the south of the land Shilem, when my people were watering and feeding their flocks and tilling their lands, a numerous host of Lamanites came upon them and began to slay them and to take off their flocks and the corn of their fields. Yea, and it came to pass that they fled, all that were not overtaken, even into the city of Nephi, and did call upon me for protection. Dude, what is up with people just acting like this anyway? Like, who's your mother? And I know she didn't tell you that this was okay kind of behavior. So yeah, crazy that it had to be the king who's making everybody get crazy and rowdy. Because I don't know, like, yeah, there's like Jezebels and stuff, but for the most part, I feel like women in general are more nurturing. Like, we would probably want to like be besties with people, you know? I mean, at least I would. And like, I wouldn't want to fight people for their stuff. Ugh. I know, I feel so annoyed right now. Just because of them. Verse 16. And it came to pass that I did arm them with bows and with arrows, with swords, with scimitars, and with clubs, and with slings, and with all manner of weapons, which we could invent. And I and my people did go forth against the Lamanites to battle. Well, what else were you going to do? Because people are coming up against you. You got to kind of protect yourselves. Yea, in the strength of the Lord, we did go forth to battle against the Lamanites. For I and my people did cry mightily to the Lord that he would deliver us out of the hands of our enemies. For we were awakened to a remembrance of the deliverance of our fathers. And God did hear our cries and did answer our prayers. And we did go forth in his might. Yea, we did go forth against the Lamanites. And in one day and night, we did slay 3,043. We did slay them even until we had driven them out of our land. And I myself, like these 3,043 people did not have to die. You know, those are like fathers, sons, brothers, uncles. Did we really have to fight about stuff? Come on. Okay. And I myself, with mine own hands, did help to bury their dead. And behold, in our great sorrow and lamentation, 279 of our brethren were slain. Well, of course, they had to, you know, not everybody can be the sons of Helaman. Okay. Some people are going to die in the rest of the scriptures. And it just makes me sad, you know, it just makes me sad that that's the kind of behavior we have going on around here. Okay. And then it says, Zeniff explains in verse 13 that there began to be wars and contentions. But then in verse 14, a major Lamanite army came and started to slay them and take their flocks and their corn. Zeniff explains that he armed and prepared his people, and in the strength of the Lord, you know, They went forth to battle, for they were awakened to a remembrance of the deliverance of their fathers. Here we can learn at least a couple important lessons. One, when they were in danger and great need, they remembered what they had been taught and were awakened and turned to the Lord. Okay, because we remember that they left Zarahemla, but that's not where they were supposed to go, right? So, but now they're like, oh yeah, we love the Lord. We forgot. We forgot who we were there. And then two, the Lord did not forsake them. Yeah, even when we make mistakes, he does not forsake us. Even though he's like, really? Didn't I tell you to stay over there? Like sometimes when I picture Heavenly Father and his facial expressions, they're like mine. It helps me visualize a little bit more of like my attitude, right? He's probably like, you need help? Why don't you just stay with the peeps at Zarahemla? Come on. Now I need to help you over here, right? So anyway, so the Lord, I mean, he probably doesn't have that exasperated feeling because I'm the one who gets annoyed, and that's probably something that's more human than goddess-like. But that's how I would picture it in my mind. Anyway, so he said, even if they had been, so I just love that the Lord still shows up and helps them because we're still his children no matter what kind of choices we make, right? Like if our kid's making a bad choice, it's like, well, you know, thanks for letting me know. He's his own person. We're going to wait for him to do stuff. But then if he comes and is like, can you help me? Well, of course I'm going to help you, right? Because you're my child and I'm glad that you came for help. So anyway, it says, even if they had been overzealous and even if they had put their desires first, the Lord did hear their cries and did answer their prayers. And they did go forth in his might. See? So he's not, I mean, even though he's like, you guys, you know, he was still there for them. And that's what I love about the Lord. Like, and that's what I love about Heavenly Father. Like, they are always there for us, even when we make the worst mistakes. Okay. I mean, but we have to keep wanting to be good. Does that make sense? We have to still keep trying. We can't just be like, whatever, and like not call on the Lord and expect him to help us. Like, then he wouldn't, right? Okay. So then it says then President Nelson's quote right here from October 2003 General Conference says, this is, we have a read it, live it after this. So I guess verse 19 was the last verse in this chapter. Remember, 20 verses. That's my ideal. So I love this. So he says, in this day of computers, phones, and pagers, people communicate with one another better than ever before. Even so, good communication is often lacking. I need to learn how to read commas. Anybody want to teach me? Okay, even so, good communication is often lacking. Recently, while visiting a nursing care facility, I spoke with a woman about her family. She told me that she had 3 sons, 2 of whom visit her regularly. Good job, boys. What about your 3rd son? I asked. I don't know where he is, she replied tearfully. I haven't heard from him for years. I don't even know how many grandchildren I have. That's just sad, okay? Like, go call your mom right now, okay? Right now. If such a mother yearns to hear from her sons, it is easy to see why a loving Father in heaven wants to hear from his children. Many verses refer to those who were slow to remember the Lord. Though through prayer, we can show our love for God, and he has made it so easy, right? Like, it's just like prayer. We may pray to him anytime. No special equipment is needed. We don't even need to charge the batteries or pay a monthly service fee for once. You know what I mean? Like, could the monthly service fees stack up any higher? You know what I'm saying? Okay. End quote, by the way. That's from President Russell M. Nelson, April 2003 General Conference. I love this, right? Like, yeah, go call your mom. In fact, my mom just called me. So that was nice. I didn't even have to call her. Picking her up from the airport because she has been in Peru and in Florida, and now it's snowing, so she gets to come back here. So exciting. Okay. So from the Come Follow Me manual, the little blurb here says, Zeniff admitted that his mistakes had put his people in a difficult situation, but later during battles against the Lamanites, he helped his people face their challenges with faith in the Lord. As you read Mosiah 9 and 10, look for what Zeniff's people did to show their faith. How did God strengthen them? How has he strengthened you? What does it mean to you to go forth in the strength of the Lord? Ooh, I love that. And I would add, or I would answer that to go forth in the strength of the Lord for me would be to arm myself with the power that comes from attending the temple. And when I attend the temple, I am armed with his power, and it's the best. Like, what can't you do after you go to the temple? You know, like, maybe that's why I like starting so many businesses, because I'm so confident in the Lord's ability to help me. Okay, because I go to the temple so much. So that's it. And then we're going to do the read it, live it. Oh, I love the part. Great. Now I lost it. Here we go. No, we're going to go back to it. Sorry. I did like the part where he says that during the battles against the Lamanites, he helped his people face the challenges with faith in the Lord. So Zeniff admitted his mistakes. That is something that leaders need to do more often. I feel like if we as leaders could admit our mistakes more often, I think our world would become a bit more peaceful, because we all think we're all trying to do our best. And then when we see other people, we're like, they're so perfect. But if we could just hear the struggles that our leaders have, and like let them admit, like if we can allow them to admit, and if we can admit when we're making mistakes and trying hard and correcting those mistakes, like I feel like it would be like a more authentic world that we live in, you know? So with social media and everything being so like fake, I know some people try to put up their like real life and it's hilarious because it's true kind of thing. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but you're not really putting up your real life. You're just putting up the stuff that's hilarious. So anyway, I think if we could just admit when we're wrong and admit when we're choosing the wrong, and then correct those mistakes, or maybe even gather information from other people, how we can correct it better, that would be great too. So let me read it, live it. Okay, so here's the read it, live it for chapter 9. So it says, Zeniff writes that his people went into battle in the strength of the Lord. Ooh, so they have something in common with the book, Come Follow Me book. In his might. What is your great battle? Ooh, yeah, think about that. Or I would add, what are your great battles, right? Because we fight battles. There's not just one every day, at least. I mean, if you only have one battle every day, good job. Like, you're doing something good. But I feel like I have multiple battles a day. And so there's a lot of battles per day. But anyway, then it ends with, face this day in the strength of the Lord. Ooh, I love that. Well, I just told you that my strength of the Lord comes from temple. And all the temples are closed right now because it's a Monday. And usually on a Monday, I would actually go to the Provo temple because it was the only temple that was open because it was so close to the MTC for missionaries. And actually, now that I think about it, I feel like I need to call the Orem temple. I wonder if they have openings on Mondays these days because of the missionary training center being so close to them, and that the Orem temple, or that the Provo temple is actually closed, or maybe it's the Provo City Center temple that they maybe open on Mondays. I don't know. So, but this is good because I'm going to ask, because going to the temple on Mondays is like so much awesomeness, so much fun, because you're like doing something that not everybody gets to do. So, plus it's the first day of the week that you can go to the temple. So it kind of sets you up for the rest of the week. So I kind of love that. But we're going to try and go tomorrow. Anyway, but here we go. So there you go. Face this day in the strength of the Lord. Until tomorrow, stay strong, warrior.